A writer's retreat may be just what you need to leap forward in your progress. But how do you plan and prepare for one? So I do have a disclaimer here at the beginning. I have never been on an official paid writer's retreat. I would love to do that one day, but it's never worked into my schedule or my budget, and there have always been reasons why that's been challenging for me. So instead, I have planned them myself for just a weekend or maybe a few days. And today, I want to share with you how I've done that. I have planned writing retreats in a variety of ways. One of those ways was just to add a couple of days to a conference when I was going to be out of town anyway. Since I had already gone to the work of figuring out how to be gone for an extended period of time, adding an extra couple of days wasn't that much effort, and it was a really fun getaway and a way to decompress before or after the conference. I have also done a writer's retreat by renting a tiny house just about 30 minutes from where I lived. Using Airbnb or VRBO, something like that, there's easy ways to search for small, inexpensive places to rent. So I planned for 2 nights, which gave me 3 days of writing. The afternoon of the first day, the entire second day, and the morning of the third day. I have also done writer's retreats while house sitting for a family member who was out of town. I needed to be at their house anyway, and it provided a different location and often happened during the holidays when I didn't have other things scheduled, so I could plan a large chunk of time devoted to writing. I have even used the RV in my driveway. While this was my least favorite of the writing retreats because I didn't get far enough away to not be pulled back into needing to be at home, it did function as a different location and gave me a larger chunk of time for writing undisturbed. So if you want to do a writing retreat, the first thing you need to do is pick a time and a place. That will help with a lot of the decisions around where you go and how you get there and what you need to pack. So pick a time and a place. Weekends, holidays, even a midweek retreat may be just the thing that you need for your writing. Look at your calendar and see when you can carve out the time that you need for your writing retreat. Next, think about where you might want to go. Now, if time is a constraint that you're working against, do something that's nearby. But my guess is that within about 30 minutes of where you live, you can also rent a place that would work really well. But I have also found benefit in driving a little further because the drive time helps me to transition into that writing retreat. That commute time can be really beneficial. You could listen to podcasts on writing. You could listen to relaxing music to get you in a better state of mind for your retreat, whatever it is you need to do. But that commute time can serve as a transition from where you are in your typical life to this special writing retreat. Another consideration might be whether you want to retreat alone or whether you want a community around you. So as you're making those decisions, consider what it is you need from this writing retreat. Do you need some scenery so that you can relax and focus? Do you need quiet? Do you need inspiration? Do you need community? Do you need creativity? Do you need direction and purpose? Thinking about what it is you need from your retreat will be really important because different locations will provide different things. So once you have your time and your place, I think it's really helpful to set an intention for your retreat. You know, even if you have the luxury of an entire week or 2 to spend retreating, the reality is that you can only get so much done. So what is it that you hope to do on your writing retreat? What do you want to accomplish? What is it that you need to finish so that when you come back from your retreat, you will be ready to move back into your daily writing. So on some of my writing retreats, the purpose has been to get the bulk of the book proposal done. I wanted to be able to conceptualize the entire book, have the outline done, and put together at least most of the parts of the book proposal so that it was ready to go. I needed the writing retreat to be able to pull away, to have some quiet and some intensity to really think about what I wanted in the book, to get all those ideas that were jumbled in my head out and in some sort of a logical progression so that I could convince a publisher to publish it. Another writing retreat that I took at the end of a book was really just about tying up loose ends. I had a lot of little things that I still hadn't done, probably things that were hard or things that I still needed more information about, or just little things that weren't finished in the manuscript. And I needed to be able to go through the manuscript and really finish those up. So I took a retreat simply to do that, to work through my list of things that weren't yet finished. Another writing retreat that I've done is around editing, especially when I am editing the content and pacing, or when I am doing my final read through of the entire manuscript. It's really nice to have a big chunk of time away from people to be able to do that. So I found it really beneficial to have writing retreats then. So set an intention of what you want to do. Then, along with that, I encourage you to also make sure that you include things that are opposite of your intention. Here's what I mean by that. We need balance in our lives. And if you are focusing intently, then you need to also plan activities that are unfocused and unscheduled. So I will often plan like painting or something really creative to go with very high analytical work. Because by doing that, I'm balancing myself and I don't get quite as fatigued on the retreat and I can keep going. If you are doing a lot of sitting at your laptop without moving kind of work, then you want to also plan some sort of an activity. Take a walk. Go on a hike, go shopping for an hour, or sightsee if that's part of your plan. Things that are the opposite of what you are predominantly doing on your writing retreat really enhance your ability to keep going. The way that I like to plan my retreats is I tend to have a spiritual goal, an outcome goal, and some sort of a relaxing, like unscheduled, creative, fun type of goal. And doing those three things helps me to design my time so that I'm able to get a lot accomplished, but also feel really productive. And the last thing to do if you want to take a writing retreat is plan a flexible itinerary. I am a planner. I love plans and I love schedules. So I probably schedule mine way more than most of you would like to plan. But I do this because I want to ensure that I can actually get my outcome goal done. The outcome goal, whatever that is often the purpose of my retreat. It's the reason I've decided to take a retreat. So I want to make sure that A, I'm not being too ambitious about what I can do, and B, that I actually have scheduled time to work on the different parts of that outcome goal. So I tend to like to create my schedule around morning blocks, afternoon blocks, and evening blocks, separated by breaks. Here's what I mean. I might take the morning time, and the bulk of that time I want to be 2 or 3 hours of really focused writing time. I'll use that time to get the ideas out of my head and into the document so at least I know what I'm working with. Then I will take a lunch break. And often after lunch, I will take a walk or some sort of a movement kind of thing because I've been sitting still for a long time. Then I'll come back in my afternoon block, and maybe for that time I want to work specifically on chapters 1 and 2 and really flesh out what I want to include in chapters 1 and 2. I find that the beginning part needs more time, and once I'm rolling, I can usually do more chapters in a writing block. But that might be my afternoon writing block. Then I would pause for dinner and then do something really creative or relaxing. I like to bring groceries and cook because cooking gets me up and moving around a little bit. It also makes the retreat kind of special when I incorporate my favorite foods. And it's a way to nourish myself, which is really important to me on the retreats as well. Then I'll often take some relaxing times, just some downtime to do something that doesn't require much mental energy at all. So I might just watch TV or watch a movie. And then I will often come back and do an evening block. And in this example, I might work on chapters 4 and 5. And so in that first day, I have gotten my ideas out on paper, I've conceptualized the book, and I have specifically worked on chapters 1 through 5. Then I will spend the remainder of my time on the other chapters or other things that I need to get done. So that might be an example of how to create a flexible schedule. So for me, the flexible part of that schedule is I know that I have specific blocks where I'm working on my outcome goal. But in between those blocks, I'm going to be really flexible with what I do with my time. I don't put a lot of demands on creative time. I don't even put a lot of demands around dinner. So if I decide that I want what I had really planned for lunch tomorrow for dinner, I just swap those out. No worries at all. I don't put strict time constraints around relaxing time. So I may have loosely scheduled to relax for an hour, but I realize that I need 2, so I take 2, and I just kind of allow it to go as it needs to go. I try really hard during writing retreats to kind of listen to my body, to be attuned to my fatigue levels. And whenever my energy is going down, then I either try to move or try to rest, depending on which I need in the moment. Another thing that I do is I really plan for fatigue. So I often plan a more intense first day, but as I go, I plan longer blocks of unscheduled time. And I will often plan for things like naps if I want to take a nap, because I know that when I'm working really intently that it's very tiring. And so naps can be really helpful, but also moving around can kind of re-energize me. And then if you are doing a retreat that is around community, so if you're with other writers, then also make sure that your schedule is flexible enough to allow just some loose talk time with them, to just sit around, to drink your beverage, to have conversation, to just share and let things go as they go. And be flexible with that time, because as writers, we need that too. You probably don't engage with other writers on a very consistent basis. And so that can be a really essential part of a writing retreat. Allow yourself the flexibility to really enjoy that. Just don't use it as a way to procrastinate on the reason, the purpose for your writing retreat. Okay, so you have a time and a place, you have a goal or an intention, and you have a flexible itinerary. The next step is to pack and go. So what kind of things should you pack on your writing retreat? Well, of course, that will be dependent on where you are going, what the season is, what the location that you are going to provides. But here are some things you might want to consider. Obviously, you're going to pack your writing supplies. So whatever device you write your manuscript in, you're going to want to pack that. I think it's helpful to also pack some physical paper and writing utensils so that you can jot notes or create mind maps or just have something physical that uses your brain in a different way than typing. For me, I also tend to like a printout of my flexible schedule and my intentions for the writing retreat. I find it really helpful to have a physical copy of that. You may want to pack for food. Now, if you don't like cooking, if you don't enjoy food preparation, then maybe you will order takeout, or maybe you're at a place that provides meals. That can work. But for me, the act of cooking is enjoyable, and I like that as part of my retreat. What I like to do is to prepare the evening meals and enjoy all of the cooking kind of associated with that. And for lunch, I tend to like really quick and easy meals. And then around my travel to the place and from the place, I often will either get takeout or stop and eat on the way. So an example of some of the foods that I really enjoy for lunch, I tend to like hummus on toast with cucumbers and tomatoes. I have done that so often that it becomes really paired with the idea of a writing retreat for me, but it works really well. I will often have something really crunchy as a side item, so nuts or chips or something along those lines. And then I will often plan for a sweet treat at the end that is creamy because it's a different kind of texture. And so I might have ice cream or pudding or something like that. For dinner, I tend to cook a stir fry, something that takes a little more time in preparation, but also gives me something that takes my mind away from the writing that I have been doing and helps me to be really intentional in the moment. And my breakfasts are usually grab and go. So I will often do something like overnight oats, and I usually prepare those before I leave home and just take them with me. And of course, I make sure that I have coffee. So I usually will pack not only my coffee, but also a French press just in case the coffee maker doesn't work or it takes pods and I have grounds, something like that. I like a backup plan when it comes to coffee. And finally, I like to make sure that I have snacks. So again, I try to do salty and sweet and crunchy and smooth. I find that I don't want to pair eating with writing because then I start to take in a lot of mindless calories and I don't want to do that. But often when I am done and I kind of pause and look up, I realize that I'm hungry and I want a quick go-to snack. Chocolate is always a part of my writing retreats. I read that from someone else about how to plan a writing retreat, and I thought that was such a good idea, is that while most of the food that I bring, I try to make sure is really nourishing, I also want some treats. I want something that feels like fun and that is special to writing retreats. So I like to bring a good quality chocolate, maybe a step above what I might normally buy, to make the writing retreat special. The next category of things that you will want to pack will be things around clothing and getting ready, kind of whatever essentials you need. This is probably also a good time to just consider the location where you're going. Do you need to pack bedding and towels, or will that be provided? What is it that you're going to need on your writing retreat? And the last category of things that you might want to pack would be things for creativity and downtime. So do not pack a bunch of books. You will be mentally fatigued, and it is not the time for reading unless it is really fun, escape kinds of reading. Then you might. But you also don't want to pack a gripping novel that's going to catch your attention and keep you up too late at night. So be careful on the books that you pack, but you are going to want to pack just that downtime. What do you do to relax? How do you disengage and wind down? Pack items for creativity because you're going to spend a lot of time on that analytical left side, but you also want to nourish that creative, non-verbal right side of your brain. So hopefully those are some ideas that help you if you want to plan your own writing retreat. In the book, I have a sample itinerary, if that would be helpful to you, that schedules out how I have done writing retreats. But honestly, there's not a right way to do this. Do a writing retreat that serves you, that meets your intention, and that serves your purpose for taking one. And I hope that when you take a writing retreat, it is productive and creative and fun and becomes something that you also look forward to.